No one showed up. Balloons drooped in the heat. Pizza boxes sat unopened. A unicorn cake I'd spent 6 hours decorating remained flawless, untouched. My daughter sat alone in the backyard in a paper crown and a white dress. She picked at herself. Every 10 minutes she glanced at the gate, then up at me, then down at her sparkly shoes. 11 candles. No guess, not even a single text. I swallowed the lump in my throat and knelt beside her. Maybe they got lost, I murmured. She nodded, but I knew the truth. This wasn't an accident. They hadn't forgotten. They had chosen not to come. A week later, my phone chimed. Mom, the same woman who hadn't called, who hadn't shown up, who hadn't even liked the photo I posted, sent a text. You're invited to Eliza's Sweet 16. Theme, luxury lavender. $2,100 per person. Venmo me. No apology. No explanation. Not even a fake excuse. I stared at the message, fingers trembling, my pulse sliding into a cold, furious stillness. That night I sent back exactly $1. Congratulations. That's all you'll ever get from me again. Then I changed the locks, blocked every number, erased every group chat. 3 days of quiet. 2 days later, in my pajamas and a robe, I opened the door to flashing lights. 2 police officers. Ma'am, are you resident? One asked, clipboard in hand. My stomach flipped. I blinked once, kept my voice steady. This time I wanted a record. What's the complaint? I asked. The officer read. She says you're withholding family funds and threatening to blackmail. Blackmail? I hadn't said a word. Only that single dollar. Then it clicked. They weren't angry about money. They were furious about being cut off. I'd invited them to my daughter's party. They'd ghosted us. Now they wanted me to bankroll their $2, 100A head vanity parade. Not this time. I have receipts, I said, stepping back inside and handing over my phone, group chats, voicemails, the Venmo request, my block call log. The officer scrolled, then gave a slow, tight nod. I'll file this as a civil dispute, ma'am. Not criminal. They left. I sank to the floor, not from fear, but from relief. It hit me like a wave. They would have let this go on forever as long as I smiled and swallowed my daughter's disappointment, saying they love us. They're just busy. Not anymore. That afternoon I made 2 calls. One to my lawyer about restructuring trusts, another to my therapist to help me navigate toxic detachment. The third call came at 7:44 p.m. My cousin Mia, low-voiced and urgent. They're planning something, she whispered. I overheard your mom and aunt talking about ruining your reputation before the Sweet 16. My heart stuttered. I looked out the window and said, quietly, let them try. This time I'm documenting everything. I didn't sleep. Neither did my daughter. She sat cross-legged on the couch, sketching in her notepad with eyes dimmer than usual. What are you drawing? I asked. A party, she mumbled, where people show up. I almost broke, but I didn't. I stood, kissed her forehead, and whispered, we'll make one. The next day, I drove straight to the Garnet Ballroom, the very venue my family had reserved for that $2, 100A head Sweet 16. The booking was still pending final payment. I asked the manager about the refund policy if the party pulled out. She raised an eyebrow. I slid the lease across the desk. They'd used my business credit as backup collateral. Classic. I smiled. I'd like to assume the reservation, I said. Same date, new event. I paid in full. Venue mine. Date mine. Guest list mine. I invited every kid who'd ever been overlooked, forgotten, or treated like an afterthought. We called it the Golden Ones Gala. I even had the cake vendor recreate the original Sweet 16 order, except this time the frosting would read a message to the ones they left behind. By Thursday, invitations went out. Custom-made, hand-delivered, no Venmo required, only presents and presents. That evening my sister texted, did you really hijack our event? Then Mom called, voice sharp, fix this or I'll make you regret it. I sent a screenshot of my contract and one caption. You should have read the fine print before writing me off. Outside, my daughter stuck star stickers to the ceiling and whispered, do you think they'll come? I smiled and said, they don't need to. This time the celebration isn't for them. The night of the gala arrived like a secret the sky kept. Every inch of the garnet shimmered in gold and soft blues, an enchanting mix of elegance and childhood wonder. Kids trickled in shyly at first, some in hand-me-downs, some in borrowed suits, all wearing that startled expression of someone who thought nobody remembered them. My daughter stood at the entrance in a glittery blue dress and tiny silver flats, clipboard in hand. "Welcome to the Golden Ones Gala," she whispered with a smile. Then came the moment that stopped everything. 3 people walked in uninvited. My mother, my sister, and my niece, still dressed for a sweet 16. They paused at the door as if they owned the room. I stepped forward, calm. "Sorry, this is a closed event." "You can't be serious," Mom hissed. "This was supposed to be our party." I smiled, reached into my clutch, and handed her a glitter-covered envelope. Inside was a printed screenshot of her original invite, the Venmo request, and my $1 reply. "Looks like you already got your celebration," I said, then turned away. Security didn't need instructions. They didn't shout. They simply redirected them and closed the doors. My daughter watched beside me. "Was that rude?" she asked softly. "No," I said. "That was called boundaries." By 9 p.m., a video of the gala had gone viral. A teen vlogger in attendance live-streamed it with the caption, "The most beautiful party I've ever been to." None of her family came except the one that mattered. Comments poured in. My phone buzzed nonstop, but for once I didn't check it. Inside that ballroom, my daughter was seen, and that was worth far more than $2,100 a head. By morning, messages had turned to threats. "You've embarrassed us in front of everyone. Take that video down. We were family before you turned it into a spectacle." I stayed silent. What they didn't know was simple. I wasn't the one who posted it. A teenager did. Her dad, a local reporter, wrote the headline the next morning, "Single Mom Hosts Party for Forgotten Kids," turning her daughter's sorrow into celebration. That article lit the spark. Soon came interviews, podcast features, even a small grant from a nonprofit wanting to fund the next year's gala. One evening, my daughter looked at me shyly and asked, "Can we do it again?" "Yes," I told her, "but only under one condition. No inviting people who pretend your pain doesn't exist." She nodded, and I thought that was the end of it. But 2 days later, a police cruiser stopped in front of my house. My stomach dropped. My daughter squeezed my hand, eyes wide. The officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, we've received a report of suspected fraud and child endangerment." It was filed by a family member. My chest tightened. Child endangerment. From the same woman who once mailed me a $2,100 invoice. Now she wanted the state to punish me for creating joy. Was the complaint anonymous? I asked. He hesitated. Not exactly. Then he handed me the name. My mother's name. I steadied my pulse, looked him in the eye. "Would you like to see the footage of the event? The article? Or the verified receipts? I have it all documented." He nodded. That would help. I let him in. Behind me, my daughter whispered, "Is this because of the party?" I crouched down. "No, sweetheart. This is because sometimes love curdles when people can't control it. And today I didn't let myself be controlled." The officer sat on my couch, notebook in hand, voice surprisingly gentle as he watched the party video. Balloons, music, tables with handwritten name cards for children nobody else bothered to celebrate. He glanced at my daughter in the next room, coloring a picture of the two of us under a rainbow. "Ma'am," he said, "I'm sorry. We see this sometimes, malicious reports made to scare people." I nodded, sliding a folder across the table. Receipts, volunteer background checks, parental permissions, allergy forms, all signed. He leafed through, then paused. "Your mother claimed she funded the event." I didn't laugh. Instead, I handed him proof, a Venmo screenshot. $1. The note read, "Congratulations." He blinked, then smirked. "Understood." When he left, he handed me a copy of the report. "This is documented as a false claim. If they escalate, you're protected." At the door, he paused. I've seen families at their messiest. Not many people manage to clean that mess with kindness. After he left, I leaned against the door, phone buzzing in my hand. A text from my niece, the sweet 16 girl. "Auntie, I didn't know what they did. Can I still come over?" And in that moment, something cracked open. Not every root in a rotten garden grows bitter. I wrote back, yes. Bring your own glitter. That night, under fairy lights, my daughter taught her cousin how to make balloon crowns. No cameras, no crowd, just messy, real healing. 2 days later, my mother appeared. No flowers, no apology, only a spreadsheet and a pen. I itemized the costs. Decorations, food, everything. If you just pay $1,500, you'll be invited next year. Fair, right? I didn't flinch. Behind her, my daughter sat silently on the stairs, clutching the stuffed bunny from the party no one came to. She's too sensitive, my mother snapped. That's the real problem here. I walked into the kitchen, pulled out a small pink envelope, still dusted with glitter from the party. I placed it in her hand. Inside, a photo of the empty backyard, party hats abandoned, one candle glowing on a cake that read "You are loved." She waited 3 hours, I whispered, by the front door, wearing her crown. My mother didn't open it. It's not about your feelings. Family is messy, but you don't turn your back. I looked at her. No, but sometimes you shut the door before the mess destroys what you've built. She scoffed. So that's it, you're exiling us? I smiled softly. Not exiling. Protecting. Then I opened the door. She stood frozen, then walked out. No yelling. No scene. Just the quiet acceptance that access had expired. That night, I deleted the family group chat. Changed my daughter's emergency contact to my best friend. Ordered glitter paper to send thank you notes to the vendors who stayed that rainy day when no one else showed up. Some parties aren't for guests. They're for guardians of joy. And then, poetic justice arrived, soft as a birthday wish whispered over an untouched cake. A week later, another knock. Not police, this time a courier. He handed me a sealed envelope, a letter from my mother's attorney. Your refusal to contribute financially to the Sweet 16 has caused emotional and reputational harm. We demand $2,100 in settlement. I read it 3 times, then laughed out loud. My daughter glanced up from her coloring book. Is it another joke, Mom? I nodded. The kind that only gets funnier with time. That night, I typed a 1-page reply on crisp ivory paper. Dear Counsel, I decline. Emotional damage cannot be claimed by those who never showed emotional presence. Attached, proof of my $1 Venmo payment, labeled congratulations. Also attached, a photo of an 11-year-old girl blowing out candles in a backyard, surrounded by no one but hope. She deserved better. She will have better. This matter is closed. Do not contact me again. I signed, sealed, and mailed it. For the first time in years, I felt light. Later, my daughter found one of her old party invitations, still sparkling with glitter. Should we throw another party? She asked. Only if you want to, I smiled. She grinned. Only if it's just us. And so we did. Just the 2 of us. A cake. Fairy lights strung through the hallway, her crown back on her head. That night, after she drifted to sleep with frosting on her cheeks, I whispered, You are not a backup plan. You are not invisible. You are the guest of honor in your own life.